Welcome to Meldon Law and Friends. I'm Jeffrey Meldon, founder and attorney at Meldon Law. It's our great privilege to have you join us today. We've got a great show. The athletic director for the University of Florida, Scott Stricklin, is here with us at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, and we're going to have a great show. You're going to learn all about the ins and outs of Gator athletics today. So thank you very much for joining us. Couple things I want to tell you about. November 11th is Veterans Day, and we want to give thanks to all of our veterans. As a matter of fact, Meldon Law is sponsoring a event for veterans at Homestead Park in Williston from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's a free event. There's going to be lots of entertainment and gifts and food and all kinds of stuff going on. So join us there. The holidays are approaching rapidly, Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's and all the other holidays. And Meldon Law always gives away some free gift cards for restaurants. We've been giving away $25 gift cards for Harry's Bar and Grill, which has locations in Gainesville, Ocala, and 3 or 4 other locations. So if you want to get a free gift card, all you have to do is sign up for our newsletter, and you will be a recipient of the newsletter. As soon as it gets in, you enter the contest, and we're going to give away as many as 400 gift cards this year to help promote all the great clients and folks that have helped us out through the years. A couple other things is Meldon Law has 3 main offices: Gainesville, Ocala, Lake City, and we are here to serve you. We've been in the community since 1971. We help folks that have been injured in different kinds of accidents, both car and other accidents, and we want to let you know that it's free to give us a call. We'll give you an opinion, let you know what we think about your case, and if we can help you, we'll be glad to do it. There's no fee unless you win. So those are a few really important things. We're going to be here all through the holidays, helping to celebrate the successes of our community and all the wonderful things going on. So we'll let you know next week more about what's going on. We're going to take a short break now and get together with Scott Stricklin from the University of Florida, where he's the athletic director, and we'll go from there. We'll be back in just a few minutes on Meldon Law and Friends.
Thursday, November the 16th, come celebrate the release of our Spurrier's Gridiron Grill Lugo's Risky Rum. This exclusive release features a special spread of our farm-to-table food, rum cocktails, raffles, and a meet and greet with me. Each ticket includes a bottle of Spurrier's Single Barrel Select Risky Rum. And I'll sign the bottle if you'd like. So get your ticket before they sell out at spurriers.com.
Jeffrey, what are you doing?
Well, I'm joining the band, of course. Since Meldon Law is the official law firm partner of the Florida Gators, I want to help.
Dad, we're litigators. Let's stick to helping people in the courtroom.
Well, can we still hang out and jam a little bit? At Meldon Law, we won't back down.
I was going down a one-way street and a girl that was driving her car T-boned me on my scooter. I ended up going for an MRI and discovering that I had 2 herniated discs. Coming to Cary allowed me to not have to worry about what doctor I was going to see or what physical therapist I had to go to. They say, these are the people we trust. You're going to have a great experience there, and I honestly did each time.
Call Meldon Law. Your consultation is absolutely free.
I was driving behind a lady, and very suddenly she moved out of the way. There was a log laying in the road, and when I hit my brakes, I went on top of the log. I had 2 herniated discs. I just haven't been the same since. Jeffrey Meldon fought for me all the way. Him and his team really went there for me. Throughout the whole lawsuit, he made sure that my bills was paid. It was never no whenever I called him and asked him for something.
Call Meldon Law right now.
And I was in an accident. Someone ran a red light and hit me, and I was hurt. You don't know where to turn. Luckily, I called Jeffrey. These big insurance companies, they don't want you to win. They truly don't. But Jeffrey and his firm and the people that work here, they just really fight for you. You call the law offices of Jeffrey Meldon, because you're going to need help, and they will help you.
Call Meldon Law right now.
Hey, Sammy, look who's there. Say hi.
Hey!
You again!
Meldon Law, Jeffrey speaking.
Jeffrey!
Somebody else hit us here.
Here we go again. Welcome to Meldon Law and Friends. We've got a special guest for us today. We're here at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, and what better guest to have than Scott Stricklin, the athletic director at the University of Florida. How are you doing today, Scott?
Great, Jeffrey. Thanks for having me. It's good to be with you and have a little time to visit and talk about the Gators and everything University of Florida, right?
Yeah. So we're here at Spurrier's. What has having Spurrier's Gridiron Grill meant to you as athletic director and to the recruiting and the program and everything else?
Well, it's been a tremendous asset to the community, really. And certainly anytime something's good for the community, it impacts the University of Florida and our athletic department in a really positive way. And so, got to give a lot of credit to everyone who's behind it, Coach Spurrier and Freddie and everybody who's been so instrumental in making this place a reality. But you mentioned recruits. Our coaches and across all of our sports end up utilizing Spurrier's for a lot of their dinners with recruits when they're in campus. And just visitors to Gainesville in general, they love coming to Spurrier's, and the restaurant's so well done. There's the history, the presentation of all Coach Spurrier's memorabilia, and just the story it tells. It's a special place, so it's a pleasure to be here with you.
Yeah, I mean, I've been really excited because I know that Spurrier's legendary for Gators. And what I heard was when the 18, 19-year-old kids, the recruits come here, 17 years old, right? A lot of times they come with their mother, father, grandparents and stuff. And when Spurrier shows up, the grandparents know who he is.
Sure.
The parents know who Spurrier. The kids have maybe heard the name, but they don't.
Right.
They don't know. But
yeah, he certainly he resonates with football fans from several generations.
That's for sure. You know, it's interesting because from when he came here in 1990 until when Urban Meyer left in 2010, for 20 years, the Gator athletic program was just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it had a great run. Coach Spurrier for a dozen years, unprecedented success, not just for the University of Florida, really for the SEC, and led the Gators to 6 SEC titles. Of course, the '96 national championship, and then Coach Meyer had a 6-year run in there with the 2 national titles and the 2 SEC titles, and that was you layer that on top of what Billy Donovan did in the sport of men's basketball, and it was that 06, 07, 08 period was pretty magical for the Gators.
Yeah. I mean, we're definitely title town during that time. Everybody was wondering what our secret sauce was and stuff like that. So you are the athletic director for the University of Florida. You took over from Jeremy Foley, who I've known Jeremy for probably 40 years, right? Now, Jeremy was as good an athletic director as there was in the whole country.
Absolutely.
Right?
No question.
I mean, he probably could have been the SEC commissioner if he wanted to and all that, but I think after banging his head trying to solve problems for 40 years, he decided he was going to take a retirement, which he deserved. But what was it like for you trying to follow a legend like Jeremy Foley?
Well, it was, more good than not. And, obviously anytime you replace someone like Jeremy, it's a cast a long shadow. He's a unique individual. His intelligence, his leadership ability, obviously the success the Gators had, all speak, is a credit to him. But the other great thing about that is you're not stepping into a place where you're having to start everything from scratch, right? Obviously, Jeremy left a really good athletic program, highly functioning, and so that you would much rather walk into that situation than the alternative. And because having been in the SEC myself for a long time at various schools, I developed a relationship with Jeremy long before I came to the University of Florida. So it was a huge honor to because of the respect I have for him as a friend, as a colleague, to have the opportunity to be the person that followed him here at the University of Florida. And everyone points to the trophies and the championships. Gators, have been fortunate. We continue to have had a lot of success. A lot of championships across all the different sports. But Jeremy really created a really special culture in the UAA, and the kind of people he hired, the way they really cared about the Gators, were selfless in that devotion to making sure the UAA was cared for, and that's been the neatest part about being here and following him, is a chance to carry on that culture of putting people first, and whether it's the athletes, whether it's your staff, whether it's the fans. That's something that really is a hidden asset. People don't really focus on that, but if you work in the UAA, it becomes apparent really quickly how important that is, and that's a huge credit to Jeremy as well.
So you were at Mississippi State,
yes,
and you were the assistant athletic director there.
I was when I first. So I went to school there, and I worked other places. I came back. I was assistant AD, and then became athletic director for the last 6.5 years I was there. So
that's how you got to know Jeremy really well in that position,
right?
Did you guys have meetings and you talk about how what you can do to build the SEC together?
Correct.
So a lot of folks don't realize how successful the University of Florida athletic programs are. When I say, how many programs are there?
So there's 21 teams. We have 12 women's teams and 9 men's programs. And it is remarkable the overall comprehensive nature, the amount of success the Gators have had. And just a great illustration of that, and I'm going to throw a number out and people go, that's just a number, but I'm going to give you context that's pretty mind-blowing. University of Florida has won 262 Southeastern Conference team championships. So that just sounds like a number. The SEC's been around for 90-plus years, 262. To give you some context, the school that has the second most SEC team titles is more than 100 behind where the Gators total is. So it's pretty remarkable the dominance the Gators have had across all sports. And we last year, and it continues. That's not a historical thing. The most recently completed academic year, 22-23, the Gators had 6 SEC titles, more than any other school in the SEC. Already have one this year. Women's cross country won an SEC title just a couple weeks ago. So there's that is really remarkable. Then you layer in the national championships, of which there's 47, 2 last year in men's golf and men's outdoor track and field. Another 3 programs finished runner-up in the nation last year.
We had baseball and gymnastics. We were just a hair from winning.
And women's outdoor track as well was second. We had 7 of the 21 programs finished in the top 3 in the country a year ago. And then you have all the individual SEC title winners, individual national champions, Olympic medalists. It's pretty impressive the amount, the caliber of young people and coaches that the university attracts and we're able to work with.
I was doing a little research about the best college athletic programs, and I came across an article today for 2024, the best college athletic program. The University of Florida was ranked number 1, and they took a look at a lot of different aspects as far as the overall experience, and to be in that conversation at number one. They had LSU number 2, Alabama number 3, Clemson number 4, Oklahoma number 5, Connecticut, North Carolina. So some really good schools. Georgia number 9. I like that. I'd rather have them 9. How did Georgia get so good at football? How did they, all of a sudden, 6 or 7 years ago, they started to, build this program? How did they do that?
That's a great question. I obviously I wasn't there. It's hard, I can see from the outside. They have invested in continuity. Coach Rick was there for a long, long time and had good teams, right? They won the SEC a few times and were consistently good, had really developed a great base of talent. And then when Coach Smart came in, it appears that they just were able to kind of build off of that. And it's, one of the continuity I think is really important to all successful programs. And a great example on the Gator side is when Coach Spurrier was here, and you had that great continuity that he provided during the 90s. One of the challenges that I think we've had is we've had so many different head coaches in the last couple decades that it is part of the process we're going through now is to try to build back up with Coach Napier some consistency and continuity so we can be in that same conversation.
It's interesting because Jeremy Foley, he brought in some really good coaches, but even somebody who was, the top athletic director in the country, arguably, right? When he brought in Muschamp, right? He Muschamp, I think Texas wanted him, and a lot of big programs were after him. They knew a little bit about him, and he was certainly a genius as far as defense. But the knock on him was he wasn't recruiting the best offensive caliber players, or whatever. So, it kind of interests me where, you have somebody with Jeremy's talent, he brings in Muschamp, and for some reason, our program didn't take off the way we expected it to.
Well, hiring staff really at any level, especially high-profile leaders, there's no guarantees, right? And you look at the NFL draft, how many of their first-round draft picks you never hear from, right? And they spend a lot of time and money, and they do all the evaluations. Sometimes you get it right, and sometimes you don't. And so Jeremy certainly hired a lot of really good coaches and had a great eye for that. But, sometimes you hire people you think are going to work, and it looks like everything's going to fit, and it doesn't work out that way. And then other times, you go through the same process, and end up someone, and they end up winning championships. And so a lot of times, you don't know everything. You can't tell the future. But there are certain traits you look for. You look for intelligence. You look for the kind of people they are, the kind of character they have, the work ethic, how they are as a leader. Are they organized? Do they have a plan? Can they recruit? To me, there's 3 things that head coaches have to do to be successful. Number 1, they have to attract the right people, whether that's recruits, whether that's staff. Number 2, they have to have the ability to lead that group, and that's not as easy as it sounds, but they got to build culture, accountability, direction, provide direction. And then the third thing is they got to put them in that group of people in the best position strategically to be successful. And all 3 of them are important. To be a championship coach, you got to be able to do all 3. You have to attract talent, you have to lead the talent, and you have to put them in position to be successful. You have to do all 3 of those well to win championships. But those first, I don't care how good you are at that third piece, how good you are at the strategic part of it. If you're not good at those first 2, the third's not going to matter. If you don't have great players, and if you don't have the ability to lead them and direct them and get them all pull in the same direction, that third part's not going to matter. Now, if you can do all 3, you're going to have a chance to be really special. And we have a number of those coaches at the UAA.
Yeah. Now, as an athletic director, I had talked with Jeremy about this years ago, but you always have a file cabinet for every sport, right, of potential coaches down, in the future if something you decide to make a change.
Yeah, you keep up with, I would say, the market, or who would be out there. You're not active doing that, but we have on our staff, the way our structure is set up, every one of our sports has a member of our administrative team that's kind of their supervisor that oversees them. And so in the sport of baseball, Chip Howard, who's been here for a long time, is the sport administrator, helps make sure that Coach O'Sullivan has all the resources and direction and support he needs. And we have somebody like that for every single sport. And there's if there's ever an opening in a certain sport, that sport administrator is going to be the first person I go to. Like, okay, you've been around this program, you've been around the sport, you've traveled with the team some, you've been to the postseason tournaments, you've watched who's good in the sport. Who's out there that you think fits for the University of Florida and for the Gators. So you start with that, but then obviously you do a lot of your own homework and develop a pool of people. And there's a lot of great coaches out there. There's a couple things to remember. Not every coach is looking to leave where they are, number one. And so it's not like going down to Best Buy and buying a brand new TV. You can you have total say as the buyer. TV has no say whether they come along or not. Mm-hmm. It's not like that with coaches. The coaches obviously have a say. The second part is every school is different and has different strengths and different challenges, and this place is not for everybody. And so finding someone who's a fit culturally, who's a fit from a competitive standpoint. It's the pool. Even though you might have a lot of names, you start really winnowing it down. The pool is a lot more shallow than people probably would think once you get into it.
Right. I mean, you're coming into a big time program that maybe it's always in the top 5 in the country. So you got to have somebody who can handle that kind of caliber and the expectations that come with the job. The hardest part of my job has been letting go of people, firing them, right? I always have to prepare myself for that because I'm friends with them, right? How do you prepare yourself when you have to change coaches?
That's obviously probably the least favorite part of any leader's job is when you have to tell somebody they're not going to be able to continue to do the thing that they've been doing, assuming they want to continue doing it. So, my belief is usually when you're in that situation, there's somewhere else that person's supposed to be, and it's not in their current role. And so, in a way, you're trying to, as empathetically as possible, let them know that they're not going to be able to continue what they're doing, and also let them know, hey, I'm here to help in any way I can. I care about you, appreciate everything you've done, I care about you as a person. But I don't know, it never gets easy, right? Anyone who says they enjoy letting people go, there's something wrong with that person.
No, I have to psych myself.
Oh, it's the worst. It's the worst.
I almost cry,
Yeah, it's tough.
The good thing is that at Meldon Law, we've really focused in on building team culture, just like you do. And everybody that we have to let go winds up getting picked up by somebody else really quickly because they know that they come from a law firm where we focus in on client experience and team culture and working together, and it's more than just a show up from 8:30 to 5 kind of a situation.
Right.
So that's made it easier for me over the years, knowing that they're going to land somewhere and that they're going to do just fine. And it's like, however, I was reading recently that if you tolerate mediocrity, then that's going to wind up being what your standard is.
No question. And, culture is what you accept, right? Is another way I've heard that put, right? Mm-hmm. Whatever you accept, that becomes your culture. And the organization is going to settle in at the whatever the lowest standard is typically.
Yeah. I just got a shirt this past weekend. I went up to a Florida leadership conference in Atlanta, and the shirt, it's a black shirt. It just said "Raise your standards." Okay, and I saw that, so I went and got one. I said, "Man, that's just wearing that around. It means to all of us,
right?
Sure.
It's
like so." Talking about leadership, what does leadership mean to you?
leadership is putting the needs of whatever group you're leading, whether it's the organization or the people in the organization, putting them above yourself and making sure that their goals or the organization's goals become a focal point of what you're all trying to accomplish. I think I love the concept of servant leadership. So the great example of someone, a leader, sacrificing for the good of the overall organization or the people that they're serving. And so that's really important to me. And you look at that a lot of different ways, but it's making sure that the people on the team are a priority. And I took a lot of marketing classes. I got a marketing degree in college, and there's this concept of two different types of marketing. There's services marketing and there's goods marketing. So you're in the service market industry, right? You're not selling widgets. You're selling a service. I think we do that in athletics as well. So when you're marketing a good, the only thing that matters is the quality of the actual good you're selling. And so you're totally focused on letting your audience know about the quality of that good. Mm-hmm. But when you're selling a service, when you're marketing a service, you are trying to tell the public, the external users, stakeholders, how good the service is, and you're selling them that. But the internal constituents, meaning the people on your team providing the service, you have to market to them just as hard as you do to the external user. Your internal constituents become just as important as your external constituents because they're the ones providing the service. And so whether it's someone in our ticket office, someone, our sports training staff, someone works for Gator Boosters, our coaches, anyone, they have to feel valued. They have to feel important as a part of the athletic association, because they're going to turn around and they're going to project the values of the athletic association to all the external user groups. So if you have a bunch of internal people who don't feel valued, who don't feel like they're being poured into, they're not going to do a very good job of selling what the University Athletic Association to all the recruits, the fans, everybody out there who are so important to making the enterprise successful. So I think a good leader pours into their people in a way that allows them to in turn go and make sure the association or the organization is represented as well as possible.
So we recently had a vision day at Meldon Law where, we explained to everybody on the team. It was all hands on deck. Everybody had to be there. And we have about 30 people in the office. And we it's not the first time we've done it, but we had a lot of new employees. So we talked to them about what our vision was. And we also have our core values. And we tried to explain what our core values were so that they integrate them within their day dealing with our clients. Because for us, what we determined was the client experience was the number one North Star for us. Right? If you can get the client experience right, then you're on to something. What do you do in the athletic department as far as, vision statement, core values, things like that?
Well, we have a really simple mission statement, which is we want to provide a championship experience with integrity for the University of Florida. And so the championship experience is, you think of, the word championship is being used very purposeful there because we do want to win championships. But it's really about how you treat people. The championship experience, how are you treating people? How are you going about, are you working in every little part of your task with the expectation of excellence is the goal, right? So there's 6 core values: passion, integrity, teamwork, excellence, innovation, and respect. So 6 core values for the University Athletic Association, all in support of that goal and mission of providing a championship experience with integrity.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, because I think any successful organization has to share their vision with the whole team in order for that team to, represent them. What do you think is going to happen with NIL? I know right now, it's new and people are trying to figure it out. What do you see going on with NIL and how it's changing the college landscape?
Well, obviously it's allowing athletes the opportunity to earn benefits that in the past NCAA rules did not allow them to do. And so that's a positive right there. There's a lot of layers to it, and it all starts with the fact that college sports, we have a lot of different levels of sport in this country, right? College athletics is the only level of sport in America whose sole ability to fill our rosters is through recruiting. That's the only way you can fill your roster. So in the pro sports, they have a draft, right? Who else has a draft is Little League. But you think about Little League. They have a Little League. Coaches get together and they draft the players. I'm
glad they didn't have a draft when I was in Little
League. In high school or school, in elementary school or middle school or high school, a lot of times it's based on what neighborhood you live in or what school you go to. But in college sports, all we have is recruiting, and so that means we're constantly in sales mode. You and I talked about that earlier. We're constantly in sales mode, and when that is the environment, then anything that touches the enterprise is going to be weaponized for recruiting. And so that's where we are with NIL. Is we want, just like we want at the University of Florida, we want potential recruits to understand the value, the incredible value of that degree from the #1 public school in the country if they come to the University of Florida. We want them to understand they're going to have great facilities, great coaching, unbelievable support from a passionate fan base. So all that traditionally has been what people have focused on. But now you also have to make sure that they have really good opportunities in the name, image, and likeness space. And just like if we didn't have the degree wasn't strong, or if the coaching or the fan support or the facilities weren't good, it'd be hard. We wouldn't get the kind of athletes we want. In the same way, if we don't have the NIL opportunities for our athletes once they get here, not to be used during recruiting, but for us to demonstrate, hey, look at the current athletes, look at what they're experiencing. If that doesn't exist, then that's going to be a problem. So, as you know, we have a NIL group called Florida Victorious that's working hard to make sure that those opportunities exist, and we have a lot of Gator fans who have joined in on that endeavor to make that group as strong as possible. And it makes a difference. You talk to our current athletes, it makes a difference in their experience, and there's a lot of benefits to it. But there's no question it's a huge sea change from where we've been traditionally in college athletics. And for old timers like you and me, it takes a little while to get our minds around it. But, it's going to be important, and it might morph and change. Anytime you have something introduced into an industry, it can really be jarring, and I think we've all experienced that the last 28 months since NIL has been a thing. But I don't think it's going away. I think it's here to stay, and if the Gators are going to be good, we need to figure out how to be really good in this space.
We, on our last podcast, Ryan from Florida Victorious was our guest here, and we were talking about what they're doing and how important it is. It's reality.
Correct.
Okay, so whether you can moan and groan about it and do that, or you can deal with reality.
Exactly.
All right,
100%.
So my message to all you Gator fans out there is that there's lots of opportunities to help support the Gator program. Florida Victorious has put together a $96 a month donation, which supports the whole NIL experience and makes us able to be competitive. And look, NIL, I always felt like back in 06 and 07, Al Horford and Joakim Noah were running Gainesville, right? Midtown, downtown. When they showed up, they had like a posse with them, but their families had money, and they were able to, come downtown and go to Dragonfly Restaurant and go here and there. And, they really, were huge figures on campus. However, there were a lot of really good athletes who didn't have the financial backing from their families and didn't, they had resources from the university, but not in comparison to what some of the other kids came.
Right.
So I had always struggled with that, trying to figure out, this kid is a star athlete. He's generating a lot of revenue for the university. Is there some way that we could compensate the athletes so when they come here, they're kind of on a level playing field as far as the non-sports related activities, which include, you want to go out to a nice restaurant and hang out with friends, and you want to do the things that the other kids are doing. So when NIL came around, my thought was, well, this is going to be interesting because the NIL, at first it was the Wild West, right?
Right. Well, and it does that. It kind of provides that opportunity for athletes in a way that they didn't have in the past to earn some money outside of being a student athlete. And, we have a lot of anecdotal stories about, there's one young man who is taking the money that he's earned from NIL, and because of that, his mom no longer has to work a second job, and now she's going back to nursing school to get her nursing degree. So there's a lot of really positive benefits that come from this, and if it's done well, if it's done right, it is a positive. And at the University of Florida, given the nature of how large Gator Nation is and how many people are so passionate about the University of Florida, there's a great opportunity there for it to be a strength for UF.
I pulled this statistic out. University of Florida has the largest fan base in the SEC, 5.89 million fans. And that's for all the schools in the SEC. So Gator fans, we're the big dog. So, pony up at least $96 a month and help the Gators compete. And this is for all the programs because I know
absolutely
all the
we have about 550 student athletes. I think right now Florida Victorious is working with close to half of them. But their goal, once they're fully funded and have all the support necessary, is to touch all 500 athletes across all 21 sports so that every Gator athlete has NIL opportunities.
Yeah, I was just in Nashville last week, and I put together a mastermind group of law firms that are partners with sports teams. And my friend from Cleveland who does Ohio State was telling me that he put an NIL deal together with all the female basketball team, and every one of them got the same amount of money, and they used that opportunity to sponsor charities and to get involved, and they were actually doing things within the community and growing. And I thought, wow, that's what NIL should be. Certainly there's going to be some star athletes that it's strictly, they're focusing in on the money. However, I think we have a responsibility as leaders to direct them not only to earn the money that NIL provides, but to assume the responsibility that comes with that.
Yeah, there's one of the great things the UAA does that we don't talk a lot about is we spend a lot of time with life skills programs for all of our athletes. So whether it's financial literacy or learning how to manage your finances, resume building and internships, and there's so many other things in addition to the community service opportunities that we do, because it is really important. It's not just about going to class and playing sports and practicing and all that. It's we're hopefully creating leaders for life that, one day, no matter how great an athlete they are, there's going to come a day where they're not playing sports anymore, and we want each and every student athlete at the University of Florida to be prepared when that day comes.
Yeah, I think that it's absolutely critical that you do that, and I want to thank you for having that. What do you think are the similarities between being an athletic director and a trial lawyer?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. Since I know very little about what it's like to be a trial lawyer, you need to tell me what you think the similarities are.
No, well, first of all, when we're in front of a jury, right, we're presenting our case and selling.
Sure.
And that's what you do.
100%.
Okay.
Sales touches about every profession in life, whether you realize it or not. You're in sales mode. You're selling an idea. You're selling a product, a service, yourself, right? So
yeah.
I would think I could totally see that being a similarity.
One of the interesting things, I shared the book that Arnold Schwarzenegger wrote, and what he said was, you have to embrace selling no matter what you're doing. I go to my doctor and I talk to him and I say, well, doc, what do you think I should do? I want him to lay it out and present it to me in a way so that I feel like I've got a guy with confidence who's presenting the alternatives and giving me, the pros and cons and what to do and what he recommends. And in our profession, when we have a vision, athletic director, lawyer, whatever, it's our responsibility to present that vision in a compelling way.
100%. And I think that's well said. I totally agree, because there's a lot of planning that goes into it, a lot of studying. People probably think of you only when you're standing in front of the jury, but there's a lot of work that goes in before you get there, right? You've done a lot of pre-planning, a lot of preparation, and very similar from our respect from athletics.
So there's a saying, see it, believe it, achieve it, and some would add, explain it. Okay,
right.
So when you're creating a vision, what is it that you're trying to accomplish?
Well, it depends on what the task is. If it's I'm trying to think of an example. If it's maybe it's something as simple as justifying a budget. That's a big part of what we do. Is we have a lot of resources, but we have to allocate those resources across all the different sports and how it's going to benefit the Gators through the year. And so we have a board of directors for the UAA that we have to go and explain that budget to. And so you're trying to explain the vision, the whys, and what the benefits is going to be and why this is the budget that should be. When you're looking at a facility project that you're doing, Condren Ballpark, is a great example. Why do we need to build a new ballpark? You're explaining the benefits, the cost, how that cost is going to be accounted for, how we're going to pay for it, the benefit of what that new park could provide. And sometimes you're having to sell people on an idea that they don't really see clearly, and you're having to paint a word picture for them, right? You're talk about, for instance, we're going to have a place for families and berms for students and open concourse and people can move around.
The Adirondack chairs and food trucks in center field.
We're going to create a different experience, and if people only had people's only experience prior was McKeithen Stadium, which for a long time served the Gators really well, but there were some limitations there, and so if that was their only experience, it was hard for them to understand how all this other stuff was going to, where it was going to be, and how it was going to benefit the program. But once you are successful in building the facility and people come out and see it, it's like, oh my goodness, it's trying to anticipate what the needs or what the opportunities may be, and then trying to convey some things like that people haven't seen yet.
I want to congratulate you on that project, because we're blessed living in North Central Florida. We can go to all these Gator sports easily. The folks from out of town that are 3 or 4 hour drive, it's hard for them to come up for the non-football events, and folks don't realize it's a lot more than football and basketball here.
Right.
And so what I would do, my challenge to all of you listening and viewing this, is engage with the Gator sports. We have the #1 sports program in the country, in my opinion. We have great facilities. The athletes on the field are top-notch. We're competing in the SEC, which is the best conference in the country. And once you start going, you really get excited. You learn a little bit more about, who the baseball players are. I don't know if you know this, but I pride myself on going to more athletic events than any other Gator partner that's out there.
Well, I see you at quite a few of them, so I think you're doing really well on that goal.
Yeah,
Jeffrey.
So it's a win-win for me, right?
Absolutely.
It's like I'm having a blast. I get to go there. Meldon Law became the official law firm partner of the Gators about 3 years ago, and I have to thank you because I have had so much fun. I've been living in Gainesville since 1970, and the last 3 years have been more fun than any time. And a lot of it's due to the great work that you do at the University Athletic Association. So thank you very much, Scott.
And thank you for that sponsorship. And it's I see the signs all over town and the ads and using the Gator marks and with your very clever ad team that you have that has obviously done a really good job. They put a lot of thought into what you do. So that's. It's a great platform, meaning the athletics is a great platform. Obviously, it's a great platform for educating young people. It's a great platform to have people engage with the university, whether they are alum or whether they just are fond of the Gators. And it's a great platform to let people know about great business partners in our community and throughout the state as well.
Well, thank you very much, Scott Stricklin, for being on Meldon Law and Friends, and we look forward to having you back next year again.
Thank you very much. My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Okay, you're very welcome. We'll see you later on Meldon Law and Friends.
Go Gators.